right now. And the opposite, when the tide goes out, they get flushed out the same channel. Now the dolphin we're seeing in here are called the Indian River Lagoon dolphin, one of 7 species in the area. They're not quite as fast, not quite as big as their cousins. The reason for that is because they don't have to swim and go as far to get their lunch. Lunch comes to them by these canals. Trees we're passing right now are called red mangroves. You'll see where the root system is wet. They have a red tinge to them. That's why they call them red mangroves. They're very important to Florida for 3 different reasons. Reason number 1, there's a little blue heron walking on the shoreline here. It kind of blends in here right in that little opening. That's an adult, by the way, not to be confused with the great blue heron. Now these root systems on the red mangroves grow up from the center of the tree. They grow in thin air, go out over the water, and then go back down and dig themselves back into the solid ground. As they do that, a new tree sprouts up from those root systems. In those little roots underneath that water are all these little fries, the little fish and crustaceans that are just been born and they're trying to grow. That gives them some protection from the bigger prey that try to get in and have dinner. When they get old enough, they'll leave that area and go back into the lagoon or back into the Atlantic Ocean. Second function these serve is when we do have hurricanes and big winds, we get a storm surge. A storm surge may be 10 to 12 foot of water, like a big wave on the counterclockwise side of the storm, gets pushed into the shore. Have a 10-foot wave hit the ocean side of one of these little islands, and you'll only get about a 1-foot wave off the other side. So it does protect the mainland. Third reason they're important is that's how this state was formed. In between those root systems, they'll catch leaves, twigs, sand, you name it, and eventually it becomes soil. Taller trees behind them, they don't look like conventional trees, that is, the root structure comes straight up into the tree. They're called black mangroves. Occasionally you will see white mangroves also along the area. They're lighter leaves than you'll see on the green or on the red mangroves. They're a little hard to spot. They have little clusters of white flowers. You'll notice also on the red mangroves as we go along, there's sporadic little yellow leaves on the tree itself. Their job is to soak up all the salt that's in the tree system. They become saturated, they'll fall off into the water, and that becomes less for some crustaceans and other little fish. Well, normally there's a lot of little birds that hang out in here, but on a real windy day like this, sometimes the birds will stay in the foliage here for protection. We do sometimes see the pelicans out on a windy day. That's because they only weigh 3 to 4 pounds. You get a big osprey hanging on one of those branches and he'll be swinging. Down low looks like a snowy egret coming up off the right-hand side. It's a smaller white bird, yellow beak, yellow feet. I have a cousin called the cattle egret with black feet, black beak. We're looking from the manatee, like I said, on either side, dolphins down the middle. There's a great white, or a great egret just coming out from underneath the trees, coming up on ahead to our right. Now he's got about anywhere from a foot to 18-inch legs. He likes to stand friend with his cousin, that great blue heron, who looks just like him, only with a light blue or light gray coloring. And they'll stand motionless next to those roots. The little frying fish will swim out between his legs, thinking it's part of a red mangrove, and they got an easy dinner. Okay, we're going to stick our nose into the backwaters off our left up here. All these islands you see to your left are county parks, and there's 4 of them in this area. This area used to be known as the Mosquito Coast, and that was primarily for the saltwater mosquito. Mosquito's about 2.5 inches in diameter. Not to be confused with the little mosquito, the freshwater ones in your backyard that will come out and bite you and be gone before you know it. Saltwater mosquitoes used to rip open your tent, slice open your sleeping bag and dump you on the ground and then bite you. You knew you were being bit. They tried to control them back in the 60s. Anybody who's read the book Silent Spring about DDT knows the story of that. So they came up with an ingenious idea. They built little levee systems all around these islands. You can actually go out and walk them that are high and dry. But in the middle they have a little system set up where they can take water off the lagoon and flood it. Just put a real thin layer of water over the center. And that stops the females from laying their eggs in the soft silted sand. That does control 86% of the saltwater mosquito. Very successful. You notice nobody's gotten bit out here today. Now we're coming in at a good area for dolphins.